everybody. Welcome to the Lincoln County Podcast. We are very excited today with a special guest who is the only guest so far that I've had multiple requests for from all sorts of demographics, which was pretty darn cool. So Julie and I are going to sit down today and chat about everything Lincoln County. So I'm going to turn it over to Julie to introduce herself.
Yep. Hi, how are you?
I am great. So what is your position in Lincoln County?
So I'm Julie Rodgers, and I'm the Executive Director of Economic Development for Lincoln County. That's quite a big title, quite a lot of words.
Title.
It's a great title. And what that means is a lot of different things, almost depending on who you are and what I'm doing at the moment. Primarily, my task is to bring capital investment and good jobs to Lincoln County. And within that can mean a variety of things. Everything from attracting new businesses to come to Lincoln County where there's a need. Once again, we don't want to just attract just to attract. We want to have smart growth in the county, and our cities do. So we really try to go out and recognize the needs that we have, and we're looking for companies that will bring value to us and bring those high-paying jobs with them. But I think, as you know, 80% of my time is actually spent working with those who are already here, already made the investment in the community, already hiring our neighbors, our friends, our cousins, and helping them with their growth needs. And that's the coolest part, working with people who have already made that investment and already doing great things here and helping them get to the next level. Sometimes, though, that requires a lot of things besides just infrastructure, buildings, things like that. So as everybody knows, I was very involved with attracting Rankin Technical College to Lincoln County, worked with the Lincoln County School District and our local employers, identify needs we had and how we can help them kind of get to the next level. I also spent a lot of time working on infrastructure projects, roads, bridges, water, sewer, fiber, all those things. Because when our companies are here, whatever they may be, all the way from a coffee truck to Toyota, they're going to need infrastructure to help them grow. So I get to do a lot of different stuff.
Well, and I think one of the things that people really don't understand, if you look at social media in Lincoln County, or so with my businesses, I get to meet a lot of people. I'm a talkative person, so I talk to a lot of people. And one of my goals with talking to people is helping them understand why, I think people think that Walmart just throws a dart at a wall and says, we're going to put a store there. Now Dollar General may, at the rate they really may. But when I was a child, we moved to O'Fallon, Missouri because of the Wentzville General Motors plant. My dad was a labor relations representative, labor rep for General Motors, and we followed the GM. So I've seen Wentzville for years. I have also seen Wentzville in the past several years explode. And that's not an accident. People don't always understand the business of bringing businesses. It's not just that a community has a bunch of houses all of a sudden, a builder pops up, starts building houses, that all of a sudden the malls pop up and all this other stuff, and Applebee's is lining up, and Krieger, that shows my age, those aren't even around anymore. Things like that are lining up. There's such an infrastructure part, and this is where you have played such an amazing role for bringing that in and letting us know that. I think I speak for myself and pretty much all the business owners in town, you're one of the most amazing assets we've had. And I'm not just sucking up because you're on the podcast, but, we've been friends. And what you bring and how much you're able to help is just amazing. But when you said about approaching businesses or working on things, you and I have talked, you've talked at different meetings I've been at about what type of businesses you're approaching.
Sure.
You're talking about bringing in large scale companies, and what do those businesses look for to get stuff like that into Lincoln County? Not just Troy in general, but Lincoln County overall. What do those places want? Say you were to approach one.
Well, and it's funny. So how that actually works. So people think that I go knock on a door for, I don't know, one of the big companies, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a very large scale thing. Knock on the doors to come to Lincoln County. And that's not how it works at all, to be honest. These projects usually will be, if they're out marketing, so I'm trying to think of a big one. I don't know, General Motors, right? They decide they want to move into a new community. And they will hire consultants, site consultants, and they will get a list of things that General Motors is looking for. They need this much land, they need this much power, this much water capacity, labor force that looks like this. And they will send out a RFP. or RFI, request for information, and it will go around this. Let's say they choose Missouri, and it will come to me, and mine will come through St. Louis Greater SDL, and I will get this code project CAR, let's say, and they will say we need 50 acres, and you have to have this infrastructure, and they're looking for this. Submit your sites. You've got 3 days to do it. Very short turnaround. So I identify, it's very quick.
Well, I wouldn't have thought the turnaround was that.
It's
wow.
that quick. If you get 5 days, you consider it a Christmas blessing. So, so you have to really be aware of what's out in the community, or have great relationships with your communities, with your realtors, whoever that may be, when you're looking for something specific, because they all want something different. So then I go to my book, my list, and I'll kind of look and see what fits those needs. And then we'll put together all this information, and they're looking for how much acres, what's the cost, what's the zoning, what's the infrastructure capacity? Do you have access to a skilled workforce, because this is a high-tech company, so we're going to need this? What are the local resources? What's the distance to the airport, because we're going to do a lot of, commuting. So you submit this, you turn it, and that's how those projects actually come about. So I have to be so aware of everything around me, because sometimes we'll get strange questions. This last one I had, they wanted to know about nearest capacity for renewable energies, or they really wanted to be on rail and also water access. So what's my nearest port that I can ship out of? You may have somebody that's very focused on healthcare for some reason. They want to know what's available for healthcare in the community. Education, or your local, our schools. We've got some fantastic schools. So a lot of it is just having all this information. That's why you see me at so many places, so many meetings. I'll go to the fire district meetings, those things, because I need to know what's going on. So then you submit those, and sometimes you hear back, you get a site visit. Often you don't, because they're highly competitive. And then it's a very interesting thing. People don't understand how that works. Now, for the smaller stuff, a lot of times I'll get a direct lead, or somebody, let's say, like a local company is partnering with somebody. Maybe they buy supplies from them and they want to relocate, and I'll get a direct lead. They'll call me and say, hey, we're looking for this. Can you help us? So we get a little bit more information, and we'll kind of start putting pieces together from there.
That's wild. That's kind of, Dr. Penny touched on that a little bit the other day when he was on with the Rankin Tech and the educational structure, that's important to Toyota or to a manufacturer like that, that there is people coming out into the community again for workforce.
Yes.
And I think that's what's so hard for people to comprehend when I talk to most people, and it's nothing against them. They just don't understand that it's not just because everybody in town wants to go to a certain place, or we wish we had more of this. It's a business, and they're looking for certain things that Lincoln County is working towards, but might not be there yet. And I find that to be so important to our community, that people like yourselves or Dr. Penny, different ones, see that need and realize, okay, this is here. What do we do today that's going to benefit us in 2044, maybe? Maybe not 2024. And it takes a different mindset to look at that too, that long-term goal. What brought you to doing this position?
Oh, gosh, that's kind of a funny path. So 25 years ago, I was a project manager for a commercial excavation company. We did water and sewer projects. And I did that for about 10 years. And most of that, a lot of times, was tied to growth projects and things like that. So we got to work with our cities or the county or the state. And I was seeing what was going on that end. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. I loved what I did, but it was really fascinating to me to kind of do these projects and help communities grow and see the impact on a community when you could bring these good jobs or bring a company in. So after about 10 years of doing that, I made a switch. I actually went to work for the city of Hot Point. They had an opening there for kind of a city administrator, clerk, jack of all trades position. I took it, was there for 5 years. And that's when the county expanded the Lincoln County Economic Development Office. Before that, it was kind of lumped under several different things. And so I went to work from them. They were bringing somebody in actually who had 20 years experience doing what I'm doing now, which I've been in this 10 years now. And went to work with them, learned a lot. A few years ago, then Larry retired, and then I moved into the permanent position. But I just had a passion for it and loved it, and found, honestly, I think I was good at it because I'm curious. You have to be very curious about a lot of things, because I learn a lot of stuff about a lot of things.
And see, that's something I think, and whether it's business, whatever you're doing, that people just forget is being curious. You have to want to learn. For example, my painting business, I we turn a sprayer on, we spray a house with it, but we've had a bunch of issues with them. So I spent Saturday rebuilding them myself because it's a constant issue. And I had an idea in my head that the inside of the pump was probably getting corroded or there was something wrong. And that when we would take them in for service, they just get some gaskets. Sure enough, I was right. I ordered a whole new assembly. The assemblies on the other ones looked like crap. I was like, nah, that's why they're blowing all the time. Because kept talking to my guys. I'm like, we discuss how they wash them out, different things. I'm like, you guys aren't blowing these. There's something else going on here. But I was curious about it. So I learned how to work on a sprayer. All my sprayers worked today and we had a big job. That curiosity, I think more people need to find that in what they do.
I agree, 100%. Yes, if you don't have that passion, that curiosity, you're going to get pretty stale pretty quick. And you can't get stale. If you're going to be good at something, you got to look at it every day with fresh eyes and a new curiosity, new excitement, and just have a passion for what you do. Because being a business owner, being what I do, you better be pretty in love with what you do because it's a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week job. I don't have set office hours. You know that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of businesses literally call me at 10 o'clock at night because that's when they're free. That's when they've got free time, right?
That's when they're trying to go to sleep and their brain's going, okay, right. What did you miss? Say, shoot, call Julie.
Call Julie, right? We're working this project and I finally have time to get back to her and that question she has for me. I've had businesses call me 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning and I'm good with that because I understand that's when they're free and I need to be available when they're free, when they've got that time to talk about whatever they're doing. But if I didn't have that passion and that excitement for what I do, I would need to get out of this business. So, and it's fun. And I've talked about this too. I mean, and I will say, so I work for the county commissioners. They are my bosses. And I give a report to them every 2 weeks about what I'm doing, what's going on, things like that. And I will say they get as excited about a small business expanding as they do when Toyota announces they've got a $100 million project. And that's the same for myself because you have to look at every project of great value and what it brings because everything brings different energy, different sources. Even the big projects, they are looking for a community with strong entrepreneurship, strong small business support because they know if you're not giving it there, you're not going to give it anywhere. And communities have to be very solid in a lot of ways. And companies especially, there's been a big shift the last few years. Millennials look for, it's different, right? And Z's now, we got our population Z going. So, and I've got, 2 boys that they're in that group and they look for communities that have a lot to offer and they take their talents and go there. So companies are looking for places that are supporting a lot of things to offer that young people want to live because they're chasing young talent. Used to be they're chasing, the property, the sites, the infrastructure, but now it's all about chasing young talent. So if you don't create a community that young talent wants to live, you're almost wasting your time. So my job has become very diverse. I'm working on some really fun recreation opportunities on the Mississippi River. Hiking, biking trails and river access. We're talking about doing handicap accessible things. So my job it's changing as everything changes. So
well, the world we live in post-COVID has changed dramatically. And I will say that the Lincoln County community, so after COVID, my Taekwondo school is exploding. Lines out the door, like my brain was exploding because I couldn't even fathom all the growth we were having. And I had a lot of people I deal with around the U.S. reach out and say, hey, what's going on down there? And what are you doing? This and that, And I know a lot of them are like, so what Facebook ad did you run? What algorithm did you use? What catchy hook did you put on a TikTok? And I'd write them back. I'm like, I live in a community where we as a business support our community greatly. Like, honestly, in some of my speeches I'm working on more than I should at times. Not because of the community, but because of my pocketbook. Sometimes my donations overextend what's in the bank account. My wife's back there going, are you sure about this? But the community supports it back. I've never seen a community like that. I've had so many people come in the school and say, you know what, we just wanted to use you guys because we want to be a part of what you guys are doing. I've had people hire my painting company because they're like, you know what? What was it? We did something. Oh, it's Habitat House that we painted.
Yes.
I had several people reach out. They're like, I don't care what project it is. If it's painted, you're painting it.
That's amazing.
But it was because of our support locally. I love the giving back part. That makes me feel good. But as a business owner, it comes back. So that's why I tell these guys, I'm like, you know what? We've been working closely with our community for years. this area supports itself. Now that everything's open back up, they're coming in left and right. And I was like, I'm sorry to break it to you. It wasn't a Facebook. It wasn't anything social marketing. It was physically, Casey and I are always out there doing something. And we're always working with people like yourself and different ones that when everything ended and people are like, oh, where can we go? We were on their mind and the doors just flooded. And that's really cool that that's what big businesses are looking at is areas that support that. Dr. Penny and I discussed, boating and everything they've done. I mean, it's amazing at what they do in the community. But then when you break it down and look at all the small businesses and everything that they do is just...
It's incredible.
It's astronomical.
And people don't even always know because most of these small companies, they're not out bragging about what they do. They just do it because it's the right thing to do. And luckily, a lot of times it does come back when people hear about that. It comes back because this community is very, very good about supporting those who support the community as a whole.
It's insane.
I've been up here in Lincoln County about 33 years now. True, came from St. Charles County, grew up in St. Peters. I grew up there. So when we moved to St. Peters, when I was a little kid, the population was 400. Yes.
I'm not going to say wow.
But it very quickly grew. So I was able to see all that growth and see what St. Peters did, which is why I'm so focused on infrastructure because I was part of that and saw they literally said, if we build it, they will come. And it did. It happened. So one of the reasons, I focus so much on infrastructure now because I understand that kind of growing up and watching it happen. But St. Peters was also the great community. My dad was, president of the Athletic Association. I remember him going to lunch and sitting there and, everybody get the checkbook out and you sit around the local places and they supported each other. But Lincoln County's amazing in the way they support the community. And if you're a business and you're smart and can get involved in that, people do notice. They take notice quite a bit.
I've had friends want to move businesses or look at moving stuff to Lincoln County. And the first thing I tell them is you have to make time for the networking and you have to get involved with the community. Yep. You can survive without doing it, but it's not going to be the same.
Will not be the same.
It's not, you're not going to have the growth. It's going to be way harder. But if you go out and you do stuff, and I've watched so many businesses that as I started doing it hey, what are you guys doing? I want to come to that too. And now it's been 2 years of watching them and the growth has been exponential for them by being involved. And I feel a lot of that is just getting your energy out there, getting the energy out, telling everybody who you are, what your business is, what you do is very important. When I first opened my Taekwondo school in Wentzville, we were having a discussion with my dad, my instructor at the time, and I was like, I'm out of money. Money's tight. I decked the school out. I had all this stuff. I said, people are coming in. I have an empty school. I got to get out there and do stuff. I need to advertise, and I was working, painting or side jobs to pay for that type of stuff, self-funded in the beginning. And they told me, just sit here, turn the lights on and people will come. That's not how it works modern times. Now, it might have worked in 1980, but that's not going to work now. You have to get out there and hustle. Like you said, you do so much with your job that is not required. And I think that's why too, like people locally I know that know you still don't understand what
I do exactly.
What your actual job is. They just know Julie's at everything and she can answer and help with about anything. And if you need to know who's running what business or someone to talk to, Julie can point you that direction and give you their name.
It's funny, but it's true. Yes. I'm a connector. Honestly, I'm more of a connector in so many ways. Somebody has a need, once again, or needs an introduction, or how do I do this? I'm a connector. But that's, once again, because I'm out and about. I need to be. And I have to be.
I think you would almost fall under the guidelines, say, of an entrepreneur. You're not a entrepreneur per se, but the way you act and treat your job, you don't sit there and wait for your bosses to tell you what to do. You're doing the things to make it happen. Then you go to them and say, here's what all I did this week.
No.
You treat it that way. You come off that way. You have that air to you as an entrepreneur when talking to you and how you treat your job. You are that job. It's not something you fulfill for the day and then at 5 o'clock go home.
Oh, gosh, no.
Is that how you've always been with your previous profession?
Yes. Well, yes, but this one's easy to get passionate about. Yes, I'm one of those people. We've talked about this. You and I don't do anything a little bit, right? No. Ever.
I tell everybody if I'm going to do something, I run at it as fast and as hard as I can. I had someone ask me that the other day. They're like, you don't You don't nibble at things, do you? I'm like, no, I run head on into them.
Boom.
And
yeah. So same. So, but then that's why probably this job of all the things I've ever done has been such a perfect fit for me, because and I get bored easily. This never lets you get, we talk about that too. Every day is a challenge. I mean, every day I'm dealing with a new or different type of business. So, whether everybody says, well, you kind of do the same thing, but I really don't, because every business is unique. Every project's unique. I mean, I have to learn about it to understand it, to figure out how I can help it. So every day is different. Every day is exciting. Every day is challenging. Some days more challenging than others, but that's kind of exciting too. There's just been so many fun things that have happened in the last 10 years, almost 11 years, gosh, now that I'm sitting thinking about it. But getting to work with people like yourself, getting involved in different things in the community. I saw auction night this year. One of the reasons I love working with my local businesses is I got to see the investment that they made back into the youth in our community. And when I went and reported the commissioners, I talk about that. I said, I spent the evening there. I talked to probably 25 different of my local businesses I deal with and stuff. And I said, but to see them reinvesting back in our youth, back in the community, I said, that's why I spend so much time focusing on them, making sure they're doing well, helping them to grow, helping them to be able to do that, to support those things.
Oh, yeah, because they couldn't do it. Yeah.
Right, because everybody wants that new shiny project, right? Everybody wants to make that big announcement. But if we're not helping who's already here, and I will tell you, when a new company's wanting to come, and I don't care how big or small they are out investigating your community. And if they find out that it is not a business-friendly climate, all the way from myself down to your city or county, whatever it is, they're not coming. Because somebody's going to want them. So they want to be someplace where there's strong business support. Past that, okay, we cut the ribbon, we did the picture, now I'm never going to talk to you again because I'm on to the next. So it's very critical that we make sure that we are, once again, taking care of who's here first, and then we focus on the other things. We also never want to do anything, I say all the time, I don't want to work on a project that's going to hurt who's already here. I mean, you want to grow, but you want to make sure that that growth does not come at somebody else's expense. Once again, who's made that investment and commit. So it's tough. It can be a juggling act. It can be very, very tricky.
Oh, I would say so, because you bring something new in, something down the road closes up. That's not good for anybody.
No, it doesn't.
That's not a good look on your community either. I know even with the economic times that we seem to be moving towards or are in, everything seems to be doing good in Troy, but Troy supports itself. So many people support local. And so many of us bend over backwards, even at bigger business levels, that I see, to use local first.
Oh, yes.
And
huge
that's
support
huge.
Of that. It is huge. Chris, and I don't do just the city of Troy. I get all 8 cities, 4 villages, and unincorporated Lincoln County. So I cover 640 square miles.
Wow.
So, which means a lot of city council meetings, a lot of communities with different needs, different desires, different plans and stuff, different challenges. So I get involved in those. Even something, it's not as simple, but you would think, but I had a phone conversation last Sunday, actually, with the mayor from the city of Silex, because they've had some water issues up there. I'm helping them trying to figure that out, because if they can't fix that problem, any growth for them is going to be at a standstill. So once again, I get involved in very unique, very different things, trying to help everyone in the community identify what their needs are and help them get there and figure out who they want to be. I tell my cities, it's up to you guys to tell me who you want to be, and then I'll help you get there. So
yeah, and I would say, and I know it's probably because of my connections with so many different business owners, but Ellsbury, all these different areas have had a lot of growth.
Yes,
there's a lot of stuff going on all over the place that I don't get out and just drive around that much, so that I tend to forget about. And I'll see somebody posting this at social media, and they're, oh, okay, we got someone up here in Silex, or I'll go. A lot of times for me, it's when I'm out bidding. I'll go bid jobs or go through towns, and it's like, oh wow, look at that, we got something new. Like, I'm excited about it too, because as a small business owner, I want to see that. That means more jobs, more opportunities, more families moving to the area. That's good for everybody, and that's something that is so important to all of us, and supporting all those is what everybody's good at, and they do it so well. I just think that's just what stands apart with Lincoln County. That is what's wild. Like our first video we made about the podcast is at like 7,000 views right now on Facebook, a bunch on TikTok too. Those don't those don't seem to update as fast as my Facebook stuff. My analytics on Facebook are amazing. I have to give it to them that when they went public with Meta, man, they give you some tools on there now.
I have to check it out.
But it's great. It's great. But the response from the community, hey, this is great. Hey, can't wait to be on. I mean, I'm booked out through February, and I've got a whole list of people I haven't even messaged yet.
I've seen the response. It's been incredible.
And I look forward to talking to everybody. I talked to somebody the other night and was like, hey, I hadn't met them yet. I went up to their business and we talked. I was like, I cannot wait. And they're stoked. And I'm excited because this gives our people in Lincoln County a place to really learn about the people out here. And we're not just going to focus on business owners. You know, we had Dr. Penny on, we have yourself on. I have some people coming on in the community that are just really cool people that have done some pretty neat things. And as we grow, I'm hoping to get more referrals from more people that I haven't met yet. Or, I mean, several of the businesses I have coming on, I've never even met them. I know we've been at events together. But we haven't had a conversation, you know, whether it's a chamber event or whatnot. We've, you know, hey, how are you in line to get a drink? So that chance to sit down and talk. And that's something you've always been good at. Because with what you do, I would say it would be very easy for you to focus on the bigger businesses around, but you talk to everybody. You've come in the school a couple times and we've chatted. There's just been so many different things that you're so good at connecting with people and having those conversations. Even if it's a ribbon cutting where 4 people show up, you're there. I mean, I didn't even think about it until you just said it, but all the different municipalities that fall under Lincoln County, good Lord, you could probably be 7 places at once every single hour.
I could.
I was like,
if I want to, I've been going at a meeting every night, every week, and I go to a lot.
You just are about. I would say
I do a lot. I do a lot actually. But it's important for me once again to know exactly what's going on. I went to ambulance district, their meeting last week and stuff because they had some stuff going on. They were talking about their future expansion plans. Once again, that's actually important to me. Because when I get a company I'm trying to attract, sometimes it's very important that I can say, here's the great public safety agencies we have and how they're going to serve you in this way, you know, or the people that you're bringing in. I mean, once again, it's it's odd, all the things that different companies want to know. So it's very important that I know all of those things. One of the reasons that we've been so attractive to small businesses moving up here is our skilled workforce, because we've got some young kiddos around here. We've still have a lot of our community is very rural and still have farms, you know, and these kiddos are working on the farm.
They're hard workers.
They're hard workers. And I've had a couple companies come here because they want those guys. They want those kiddos, those hard workers, those skilled trade people. So it's important that I go to the schools and I find out what they're doing. And I talk to them, explain to them what the business community is telling me they need in, you know, the product you're putting out, which is their students. So it's just all over the place. And it's funny. Because, you know, I was one of those kids that Julie talks too much in class. Yeah, never report card I ever had, you know. And now I
had that penciled on a few of mine, maybe all of them.
I think they just finally made a stamp and just kind of stamped it every year, every quarter. But now that's what they pay me to do because I have to talk to a lot of people on a lot of different levels. You know, I talk to everybody from somebody who's starting a small business. You know, we've had the governor several times. I have to have conversations with him or, you know, the leaders. It's just, but you have to listen. You know, you have to listen to what people are telling you and respond to that. And it's just, like I said, working with businesses, you've got to be very intuitive and being in the community, be where they are. Because sometimes it's hard to get into a company. A lot of companies don't understand what I do. So they think I'm the government, right? And I just want something, right?
Yeah.
And they go,
yeah.
no.
Well, your title sounds like you come with a blue coat with some yellow letters on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So a lot of times they're like, thank you, we'll call you if you need me. And I respect that. So that's why I try to make sure I'm at a lot of social events, a lot of places where I know that businesses are going to be. So I have a chance to go up and introduce myself or sit next to them at a ball game and say, hey, I'm Julie Rodgers. Hey, here's my card. I know we've never chatted. If you need anything, give me a call. So they can get to know me and meet me first or see me in the community.
Yes.
And I had and that's important. So then they go to, oh, okay, this is not kind of what I thought. Or I've had businesses call me. They think they didn't need me and something came up and they called me and I'm, once again, a Saturday morning. Yeah, give me 10 minutes. I'll be there. So sometimes I got to show them exactly what I do and how I can help because they don't know what they don't know. And like I said, sometimes government just has that reputation of just wanting to know your business.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We've had, when I first opened the school, I want to say it was something to do with the IRS. I remember coming in, wanting to know how many mats I had and how thick they were and blah, 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 because that was a training surface and I was supposed to be taxed on it. And I was like, get out.
Uh-huh.
I told my dad, I was like, don't let anyone else in the door because
Mm-mm.
that's BS.
Right.
I already bought it, I already paid. I'm not doing it. But one thing that's interesting that you said, so one of the things that you've been a big part of helping me with that has become my favorite thing to do is getting into the schools to work with people and to give back to the youth. So like you said, talked a lot, it was on your report card.
Mm-hmm.
I did too. I was super shy, but once I met someone, oh boy. And I still talk a lot. That's why I'm loving this. But that's so important to identify that in the youth too. Like there were so many traits I had. Thank goodness my dad hated his job at General Motors and told me 1,000 times to be self-employed. He didn't see like an entrepreneur-ish in anything in me. Mm-hmm. It was just, don't do what I did, be self-employed. It ends up, that's what just was perfect for me. I'm not a good employee. I don't listen well to my bosses. Anybody out there that I've ever been employed under, I feel you. I know it. So I try to identify that with like my leadership at the school, my students, kind of giving them a little push and nudge in the right direction sometimes. You're like, really, is that what you want to do? Because you're really strong at this. Mm-hmm. Giving them books on different things, passing that information along to help them. And that's something that's been really cool that you've been such a big part in, is getting me into those places and seeing that those schools, Lincoln County in general has been great about it. I mean, I've been to every school. I can't think of one I have not actually been to. And they're as the school, the education leadership wants to bring in those businesses and understands that not every kid's going to go away to college. Some of them are going to be entrepreneurs. Some of them are going to work on a farm. Some of them are going to be construction trades. And we offer all that out here. That Rankin Tech building, that was the day Rotary went up there. Dr. Penny and I spoke on that when he came in. That was amazing. I completely just was like, oh, Rankin Tech, whatever. Because in my mind, I'm a gearhead at heart. So I just think, oh, cool, that one doesn't work on cars. Not really interested in it, Mm-hmm. But like you guys did so much to bring that to the community.
Oh, that was a 3-year project. Dr. Payne and I worked very closely together for 3 years to get that done.
Wow.
Because Rankin was not going to come here until we proved to them that industry wanted it, needed it, and was going to provide jobs and support it. So that it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. And then trying to figure out how to fund it all, because Rankin wasn't going to come in and just build a building. It's not the way they operate. And the school district, R3 school district, took that leap of faith. We were very fortunate, able to apply for federal and state grants to receive. Most of it was funded. But what a resource for the community. I mean, Mark, yeah. Dr. Penny and I will both tell you, that is one of the things we're most proud that we ever did. It was funny, though, the day we did the ribbon cutting and the Governor Parson came out and we had a lot of community leaders and stuff there. And somebody came up to us and afterwards and said, well, I guess you guys are happy you're done. And Mark and I looked and laughed. We looked at each other and like, we're just getting started. You don't understand. You're never done when you're doing these things, when you're growing your community, when you're supporting business. Oh, yeah. And Dr. Penny, he's retiring. We know we talked about that. He's got big shoes to fill because he saw himself not just as leading education for the R3 school district, but connecting with our local business and industries, and everything from somebody who's going to be an entrepreneur, somebody who's going to want to go to work directly for Toyota, somebody who's going to go to college. And he and I worked very, very closely together, understanding that we were both very connected in what we were trying to accomplish. So very, very blessed. And I'm that way with all my schools, though. I've got a great relationship with all 4 school districts. Keep in constant contact with them and the school counselors. I share information, what we're seeing with incoming jobs and trends. Talk about projects. I had one come across my desk and can't go into too much detail, but it was tied to agriculture. And it was a smaller thing, but I'm thinking, oh, this is perfect fit for Rankin. So I'm going to really throw the Rankin piece in there when I submit this, showing how we've got a perfect place to come do it because it can tie into also local high school students. We got the largest FFA program in the state of Missouri. Plus we have Rankin Tech, who's doing an aquaponics ag tech program. And that's what you want to do. So you need to come here. But I have to know all those things to be able to be successful at submitting that.
And bringing that business in.
And tying it all together. Yeah. So.
And understanding that that's what they're going to want to see. They're going to want to see that the school district supporting it, Rankin supporting it. There's a future workforce here for
right here for you. All you got to do is come and build it, and we're going to supply your workforce.
I think people forget that too. I've learned this in dealing with people with money. I hate turning down small paint jobs. Someone calls for a bathroom. I hate turning that stuff down. At one point we had to. I have went in to do, hey, one phone call was I just need a little brick done on the front of the house. Small job, ran over, took a look at it, ends up home flipper, flipping $1 million homes. Father-in-law is worth millions, owns tons of properties that end up turning into hundreds of thousands of dollars of work for us. Wealthy people or very high up corporate people don't so they'll make a quick decision as in, hey, what do you want for lunch? Cheeseburger, fries, thank you. And they'll move on. Or what color do you want your car to be? Blue, move on. They'll make quick decisions that aspect, but large term financial decisions, there's a process. And there's things they want to see and want to hear and are looking for. They don't just say, you know what, did a Wikipedia search. Yeah, Lincoln County looks cool. There's so much more to it that I think people just... And it's nothing against everybody. It doesn't understand that. Not everybody's been in those shoes. I would not have understood that. I would have ignorantly thought before my growth in business that very wealthy people would be like, just hire anybody. I don't care. It's something stupid. They're just painting a house. No, they want to give you a test drive. Mm-hmm. They want to feel you out. I've put up some content about showing up to a house. A guy called me over to his truck, said, have a seat. I said, well, I kind of need to go inside. He goes, oh, you've got the job. I just want to bid. Here's what I want. And I said, what do you mean I got a job? He goes, your truck and trailer are spotless. You're hired. He literally called me 6 months ago, said, hey, I need a favor. I'm working for this builder. I know you're not exactly their biggest fan, but will you come on board and paint some stuff for me? I said, I'll be more than happy to give you a bid if I'm working with you. No problem. Cool. $368,000 bid. That was a call to do a guy a favor because I did a really cool car wash. Now, after that car wash, I went on to do several houses for him, several houses for another builder that literally his phone call, hey, let Matt run with this, got me the job. I tracked that car wash to $1 million. Hands down, I tracked. That's how my brain works. I got all crazy one day and started tracking stuff because I would get a lot of people call me for a bid. Oh, I've got so much work. Oh my God, if you take care of me on this one, I'm going to make you a billionaire. I always tease everybody. I feel like the pretty girl at the bar. Like everybody's telling me what they want, trying to get in my pants. But at the end of the day, they're just going to leave me wanting. And that's how it was. And I got mad one weekend, and Casey could contest this. I got out like 7 dry erase boards, and I started writing down every person, because I track like when they refer me. Mm-hmm. Average person gives me 3 referrals. The average is about $15,000 or less in referrals. No one's ever made me a millionaire. Even people that their heart was probably in the right place. Mm-hmm. I did. I went full Jim Carrey, and I think it's 21 or 23, where you write numbers on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. I had stuff everywhere. Casey's like, all right, well, don't hurt anybody or yourself, and we'll catch you at dinner. I don't think people really understand that how that stuff works. That's what is so amazing about the role you play.
Well, yes. And sometimes when I'm explaining to the commissioners, because sometimes very small projects, or what seem to be a small project, takes a lot of time, and it doesn't seem to be a big investment initially. And I know sometimes I can see them kind of looking like, you seem to be spending a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
But you have to look sometimes at the end game. I've got a company I'm working with right now. 5 years ago, they were a small company, a couple employees. They're in an industry that's exploding. They went from 5 to 50. Now they own a couple companies, and they're looking to, the growth is enormous that they're looking to experience. The capital investment and job creation is huge. Did we see that 5 years ago? But you do it because those are going to happen. And if you don't spend that time and get that relationship with them early on, it may never happen,
Or they'll hold a grudge because you didn't get it early on.
We ended up with a project here. I can't go into too much detail. It's kind of unique, and they're still feeling the way out. We ended up with them because it is very unique and different initially, and other communities had no interest in it because they didn't understand it, or they just didn't have a need, or it just wasn't sexy enough, whatever. And so they went. So this gentleman called me about 2 years ago and said, kind of like already defeated, and told me what he was thinking. I'm like, I don't know. Let me look into this because it's very unique. I'm going to have to check into some things, but let me check it out. So I did my homework and got back to him like, yeah, I said, this is fun. It's exciting. Let's do it. And initially what he was going to do wasn't going to bring a lot of money to Lincoln County. The capital investment, the job was very small, but still I was like, I want us to be seen as that community that's ready to take on new things, new challenges, the future, what's next. I want to be seen as friendly and helpful and excited for the future. His whole thing changed, and now what he's going to be doing is going to be a very large capital investment and job creation in the county because he had some things change within that is going to be huge for us. But he's here and doing that because I took the time to see potentially what could be there. And if you don't do that, if you don't, like I said, take that small bathroom job, you're never going to get that. You may never get there. So,
well, and a lot of them look for that integrity of who they're working with.
Yes. Oh, and that's why he says. That's what he says. He says because he's got everybody chasing him now to come back, and he literally has told them no because Julie in Lincoln County, and he says Lincoln County is good about that. It took the time and cared about me when it wasn't going to be much. So I'm committed to staying here because they invested in me when I needed it, and you weren't willing to. So now I'm staying because I'm loyal to them.
And that is something that is dying off in our society. I've got several builders that I work with now or contractors that I don't need a contract. I shake their hand. The loyalty is there.
Yes.
And that is something that I think I've spent a lot of time learning about money and learning about people with a lot of money, just interested in how they work. I'm listening to Pat Bet-David's new book just came out on Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Great book. Absolutely love it. Love anything he touches. I love listening to his podcast, listen to the way he dissects information when he talks. But there are people that get to a level financially that it doesn't matter anymore. They just want
it's relationships.
Good people. It's relationships and trustworthy because you've been screwed so many times that it's hard to trust. And so you get to a point where it's not about the money, it's about those relationships.
100%.
But people are like that. People of a certain level in business look at things differently. I got a job one time over how fast I walked up to the front door. Dead to real. The two people that bid it after me took too long to walk to the door. And the guy threw some information at me and I told him, no, you're wrong. We need to do it this way. And he kind of threw me off because then he started quizzing me because he was real standoffish when I got to the house. $1 million house. Super particular guy. I was already ticked at him because he lied to me about his time. He said he wasn't going to be home. And at how'd it go? It was like, I'm going to be home at 9. I'd be there at 9:30 or something. He was home. He wanted to see if I'd wait. That's what it was. At the time, I was like, this dude is just screwing me because all of a sudden he's like, Casey called. She's like, hey, what's up if you're coming up to the house? I'm like, I've been parked in front of his driveway. How'd he get home? I didn't see a chopper land. So I walked up, we got to talking. I almost left. I left the night before because he was late the night before, and I told him, sorry, I got too many bids, and I left, which was true. Well, he liked that because everybody else he had told he was late was like, oh, what time can we reschedule? I could start Monday. And he was like, no, if you could start Monday, you're not touching my house. I was like, I can't start Monday, and I can't wait for you. Went in the door, asked a couple questions, and then we got to talking. He told me someone had showed up before him. It took him 20 minutes to get out of their truck, get to the front door of the house. He timed them. And he's like, there's no way they'll ever finish my house if they can't even get to the front door to give me a bid. People at a certain level, money was not an object. He did not care. He had a ton of money. He wanted the house to look good. I have a cleaning company come in after I paint his house and clean it, regardless of what we leave, because he has a lung thing and he just wants everything spotless. Great, doesn't care. He knows it costs more because I sub it out to a friend of mine. I don't have my guys try to clean it. I have an actual cleaning company come in. People at that level think differently than us at another level.
They want those relationships. They also want honesty.
Yes.
They don't want a lot of soft words, right? They
don't want a lot of words.
They don't want a lot of words, right? And they want you to be direct and all, all this. I found that, which another thing about my personality works well, especially with industry and stuff, because I tend to be, pretty brutally honest. And just if I'm thinking it's coming on my mouth. But business, especially those higher, they appreciate that.
Yes.
They respect that and respond to that.
They're fluffed so much that they
so
don't want
much,
to hear it.
and they hear it and they see through it. So if you're feeding them that, they know it's that, and they don't respect you. And if you come in and you're just honest and just upfront and say, no, I can't stick around because I've got other stuff to do. See ya. They respect that.
Yeah, and that was what this customer did. And he's still to this day. I drop everything if he needs something. We get him on as soon as, and he never asks us to, but he's just. I respect him. Like when we first started, like that first walk down the driveway, I'm like, oh, this guy's on my last nerve. I do not have time for this crap. But that's what he was looking for.
Right.
And he's been absolutely amazing customer after that. Just, I mean, we painted everything in his house, or I'd say we would paint for him again. But I was just in my head, I'm like, I think we knocked out every project for him. I think until he decides to change his colors, which I don't see happening, it's going to be a while.
Well, also with this, you got to learn to be respectful of their time.
Yes.
That is huge. You know, my company, and you know this, I don't ever waste your time. I never bring something to you, whether it's a seminar or this or that, if I don't think it brings value to you. You know, and I tell, and that's a lot of things too. You know, I don't just daily send just stuff out just to forward it out. You've got to be respectful of everybody's time because your time is valuable. You do not have much free time. Once again, getting back to you call me at 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, my businesses do, when they've got the time. You know, I've literally been out hiking in the middle of Quiver River State Park and taken a phone call, you know, because,
I've done the same thing.
from
I've been
one
on
of
my
my big
mountain bike.
companies. Yeah, because I mean, obviously if they're calling me, 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, they've got a couple free minutes and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to pull up a log and I'm going to take that phone call. But that's why they do call me. You know, that is why, and that's why they refer other businesses when they're wanting to come here. They'll say, you need to call Julie and talk to her because she will take the time to, regardless of the size of the project, right? Because they know I'll take that time. They know I'm going to care. They know I'm going to be invested.
Well, and again, it kind of takes us back to what we said. It's a business. It is bringing businesses in is a business, all the way down to making sure that the school district is producing the skilled trades needed for them to run these businesses, or having a community where the chamber supports, or the Rotary Club, whatever it is, supports the community. That's why I joined Rotary, to be a part of something that gives back in the community and to be tied to and my finger on the pulse per se of what's going on, who's doing what are we getting? You know, we've had new ambulance districts built. We always have something going on that I think some people would look at it and be like, oh, there goes tax dollars again, but they don't realize that what we're building towards and what it's going to do for their children's future.
It will. So we're the fastest growing county by percentage in the St. Louis MSA, which is 16 counties. So that's huge.
It's huge.
The last census, we actually outpaced, once again, by percentage, but this is becoming real numbers, St. Charles County, which was the fastest growing in the Midwest for a long time. And we've been that way for a while now. The growth is coming. We're at 63,000 population. You know, we're on the cusp of, starting our first year, 5-year phase to be first-class county. So a lot of changes ahead of us. Once again, why it's very important that we have smart growth, that we sit down and we start planning. You know, I sit on the Transportation Advisory Committee for this region for MoDOT. So there's 9 of us in the county that sit on that, and we're with 3 other counties, and then we submit stuff up to the regional office, which is out of Hannibal. Planning infrastructure, because roads, bridges, all those things are very critical, right? So like the 47 interchange is getting done. You know, we make sure that gets on the list. Outer roads connecting to the high school. Secondary road in Troy Buchanan High School has been on our project list for a while now. Oh, yeah.
Really? That'd be an amazing one. I actually looked at a house right up there when we moved out to Troy, and that was the one reason I was like, man, the traffic right here is got to be brutal.
It's a nightmare. And we've been trying to work on that. So, once again, you have to plan for the future, plan for the growth, because it's coming.
Well, that stuff doesn't happen overnight. It's not like all of a sudden a school district goes, you know what, we're going to blow this field out. We're going to put this in and this in. No, that stuff happened 5-10 years before.
I know.
If not more. It's just not on a whim. It's not just all of a sudden they're like, hey, we got all these tax dollars. Let's go do this. No, that's what's always amazed me at it is people 25 years ago talking about things and now seeing stuff happen from it. It's like someone had to have that vision. I use Wentzville as an example. When I opened in Wentzville, it was not what it is today. And it's amazing to me. Now, I don't drive down the Parkway if I'm in a hurry because I'm not going to get through there. But that knowing that vision was put there by the leaders in that community is awesome. And that is, it's crazy to have been there 15 years ago when I opened my business. I'm now in Lincoln County. But to go back into Wentzville and to see that stuff map out and to remember being at chamber meetings or different things where there was, talks given on it.
Sure.
I remember when they talked about tearing a hotel down to run the overpass all the way down to, I think it's Interstate Drive. And now that building's gone, and they're doing all that. And to see it when I go through there at the roundabouts, everything, it's awesome.
It is.
It's confusing as all hell in the beginning because it's change
It
and we're
is.
humans. But
Well,
I remember sitting at the chamber meeting 15 years ago when they talked about that. And I remember people saying, that's never going to happen. And now they're still building there, and there's a road.
so, and and you hear it too, and we see it on social media. Not everybody wants growth.
Yes.
I hate to tell them it's coming regardless. We are at a location because of where we are next to St. Charles County, right at St. That is coming.
We're
like
on the
it or
straight
not.
thoroughfare up
Yeah,
through,
like it or
61.
not, it's coming. So at that point, you've got two choices: you let it happen to you, or you try to manage it and plan for it. So it's once again smart growth. And large part of Lincoln County is there's still a lot of agriculture. There's still a lot of large farms up there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why when I'm trying to focus on projects and where I want to do industrial stuff, I try to concentrate areas that don't infringe on that, because we can be both. We can still be that huge. I mean, there's $2 million, coming every year from agriculture in Lincoln County. Why would I hurt that?
No, that'd be
That'd be
foolish.
stupid, right?
Yeah, it'd be foolish.
My office is actually a member of the St. Louis Agribusiness Club, which supports agriculture community and everything from, Anheuser-Busch or whatever, InBev now and stuff, because that's, a product of ag, all the way down to local farms, because we understand that's really, really important as part of our community. But you can do both. You can, once again, have smart growth if you manage it. And that's what we try to focus on where we're submitting sites for projects. I don't randomly just throw a dart up on a map. I'm very strategic. I'm we're working on creating a water and wastewater 20-year plan for the county. And where
see, again, 20-year plan.
20-year plan. And that's big. And we're starting right now. What do we do next? What do we do this year? We're out for engineering to put something. We had a feasibility study completed last year, looking at that, then looking at our options, but starting to build that. But where I'm focusing, then the heavy, water, wastewater, is a corridor where we want our industrial growth to be, not out in the middle of the farms anywhere. Once again, you can control and manage that and let everybody keep, what's important to them. There's, if you up in Ellsbury, up in Silex, Haw Point, it's still very, very rural, still farming community. So if you want that, there's places you can live and still have part of that small town community. If you want to be in more of an urban area that's growing, then you can choose that too. But we have to support all those things. We've got to acknowledge all those things and everybody's needs and wants. Last year, I was invited to come speak to the gifted middle school students at R3.
We were talking about that.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So originally I thought this was going to be a 15-minute presentation with me with a little PowerPoint and little cute things with, 6th or 8th graders. And then they submitted their questions to me the day before. And I went, holy cow, I need to pivot. Actually, Tessa, my assistant, said you need to do your homework. So I went in there, and instead of a 15-minute presentation, it was an hour and a half of me being grilled by these students. And the questions they asked me were, at a level, Matt, that was just beyond, it was beyond where
There's
I get
hope.
it. There's hope.
There's so much hope.
And I'm like, would you guys, yes. And then I'm thinking, I left though, and I'm thinking, how do I create a community where these kids want to stay here?
Yes.
Because these are our future leaders.
Yes.
These are the kiddos we want to stay here and lead our community in the future, because they were so smart and they cared about so many things. And one of them asked me, how do you balance that between the people who wanted to grow and the people who wanted to stay? What a brilliant question.
That's an awesome question,
from a 6th grade student, And then I would answer, and they'd be like, well, I got to follow up. It was just incredible, the high level, and they care about their community. How are we creating a community that is inclusive of everybody? What are you doing to create jobs for people with disabilities? I don't get that from the Rotary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So it was very exciting. So that's another reason I'm so passionate about working with my schools, because I see that's where our future is.
Well, I'll tell you, so I do that at the Taekwondo school all the time with my leadership up there, and I'll quiz them on things. I'll be so frustrated with a contractor, a builder, whoever it is, employees, whatever. And I'll be like, all right, come here, girls. Come here. Let's talk. Come here. Here's the problem. What do you think? And I'll get their feedback on it. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, thank goodness there's hope. Because they'll come back with such, even at 13 years old, come back with actual educated questions and thought process behind it. Kendall Mosier's on the air today. She is our DECA regional vice president, first person in Lincoln County to get that position. So she's over all sorts of different areas. She spoke the other day at the Cottleville Rotary, our biggest cheerleader. I dropped everything and drove out there. But we were discussing DECA and how they break their stuff down. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the DECA program.
Years ago, I was in it.
Oh,
Well, we won't talk about how many years ago.
yeah.
So.
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't do any of that stuff. When I was in school, all I wanted to do was kick, punch, and build my Mustang or whatever car I had at the time. I didn't want to do anything with any of that stuff. Wish someone would kick me upside the head and made me do it because I want to join DECA now. She was telling me they basically give them a problem. They have, if it's an individual, and if I'm wrong, trust me, Kendall will text me, but if it's individual, they have if they're not a partner, they have 10 minutes to come up with a solution. She said you got to pick A or B and you got to go with it. You present this to the DECA judges or teacher, however it works. It was amazing at the leadership skill and the problem solving skill. And what impressed me is they gave them 10 minutes. They didn't tell them, do it. It's an individual project. They had 10 minutes to put the solution together, whether it was a marketing problem. Like she broke it down. This is real world shit. I was so out, just blown away. I'm like, wait, they only give you 10 minutes? That's amazing because people think they need weeks. I talk to business owners all the time. They can't pull the trigger because they get in their own damn way. And they're teaching these young leaders how to, okay, here's what we got. Here's your 2 options. You got 10 minutes. Come back, present it to me.
Wow.
Oh man. I was like, I told her the other night at school, I was like, I don't care what I got to do. I want to help you guys with Rotary. I want to donate, or not Rotary, DECA. I want to donate, support you guys. I'll come in and if your teachers are interested, I want to come in and talk to you guys about how awesome what you're learning is. Like this isn't crap.
Oh,
this is actual die hard needed in entrepreneurship, business, just life in general. Make a decision, for God's sake. Like blew me away by what they do. But when I talk to them, I'm like just renewed with the fact that, okay, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of promise, and it's so awesome that we live in an area. I've got students that are on FFA. I've got students, like I said, DECA. You name the program and the leadership and the qualities that these things establish. And I know I'm missing some out there, so sorry, guys, if I didn't say your program, message me about it. I'd love to hear about it. It's awesome at what we're able to do for the next generations.
And you and I talked about that, doing more.
Yes.
You and I both have talked about, you personally and me, my office and stuff. How do we do more of that? How do we get in front of these kiddos? Yep. Especially because there's so many of them that have that mindset. They've got that capability. So, it's kind of economic, it's gardening, right? It's entrepreneurship gardening. And we talked about doing that we really need is as much as going on. How do we encapsulate that and support it even more so?
James and I talked about that the other day. We're either going to teach them today or lock our cars later because they're going to be on the streets. We have 2 choices. We either help them now or we fill the jails with people later. And it's taking people that care to give back and do it. So I had messaged you the other day about we need to do in 2024 an entrepreneurship thing for the kids.
Yes, we do.
I did the 9th grade centers event and I had several kids come up. I've got ideas. How do you, it's really hard to be an entrepreneur and start a business. No, it's not. It's state reps' websites, a few clicks. I said, matter of fact, I'll loan you the $8. It's easy. And they were like, huh? And I told them, I'm like, you can do, and I broke it down DBA, then you can go on to do an LLC, but you probably don't even do that in the beginning, depending on what you're doing. And they send you an email like a week later and you're done. And the kid looked at me. I said, I know. They make it out on social media like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a superhero at night, and I'm extremely smart. No, most of us are really dumb and just not very employable because we just don't listen well. So we have to do it the hard way on our own. But the kids were like, it's that easy. I'm like, it's that easy. And so like the second kid to come up, I'm like, teachers tell you guys to come over here because I look bored. They kind of looked around like, no. I'm like, really? You just come up to me and ask me how to start a business? Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, well, hell, let's talk. I was excited. I thought maybe one of the teachers was like, hey, Matt's bored. Go up to his. He feels left out. Go over there. But I was blown away by that question, and all was in the back of my head because Joey has this place. We're working on. He's working on a program with the school district like I do, where I go and teach them painting to do internships and stuff here, where they can learn content creation, everything from the best. We've gotten him in touch with everyone. It'll be great. And it's entrepreneurs like Joey, like myself, like different ones that want to give back to the community. Anybody can get on Facebook and say, well, this generation, this is lazy, blah, blah, blah. I'm so
Oh,
Done
I
with
get
it.
angry at that.
Well,
You
but
know
all
that.
generations are lazy. There's
Thank
piece
you.
of they're
And every generation.
I've
My
hired
generation.
guys from 50 to 18 that were not worth it.
No.
Not and maybe at some point somebody will inspire them. It wasn't me at that time. I was not in that place because I feel that there's never really a bad employee. There's bad leaders, but there's just been some that just have it stuck in their head that they're owed everything.
Mm-hmm.
All generations, though.
Oh,
We literally had a guy quit because he wanted to take a nap. And the guys were like, sure, I get it. You're a little older. You're tired. Just clock out. I'm not clocking out. They're like, well, you can't nap on the clock. It doesn't work that way. The guy's like, I just can't work under these circumstances. I was like, yeah, I can't pay you to nap. I mean, I thought I was being really generous telling him, yeah, let him go take a nap. He's, probably tired. We work pretty hard pace.
Right.
But it's because of people like that want to give back. That's what's going to continue to make the area grow and prosper. And we have so many small businesses that are supported and that do care and love to share their information.
Oh, gosh,
even
yes.
bigger small businesses, as in maybe 30 or and above employees or 50 and above
Yes.
employees.
Oh, yes.
I know the kind of the breakout between a small business and a large business is kind of a gray line. I think it's like 500 employees
It
or
is,
less.
right.
Something stupid. I'm
It
like,
is,
that's nowhere near the same.
small business. Yeah, they've got different terminology, but it's
a wild term.
it's a wild term.
But you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's they all care. If they didn't, they wouldn't be here because
No.
they all give back. But like I told somebody one day is like, oh, well, the small business make the world go round. Small business ain't writing a check like Bodine. Like I tell them, there's a lot of bigger companies located here
They're
that
doing
don't
amazing things.
that are doing amazing, but they don't
Right.
they don't market it the way a lot of the small businesses do. And I know myself and a lot of small businesses, we even feel bad telling people some of the stuff we do because it feels like boasting, but it's important to your client base that they know you're doing
is.
that stuff. You
Well,
have to look at it like my client base comes to me because of this stuff.
And sometimes it inspires others to do it. Maybe they're unaware of something
Yes.
going on. Sometimes it just brings awareness to what's going on or ways to get involved or ways to participate. It's a variety of reasons, but there's nothing wrong in sharing your story, whatever that is. Nothing, and people have to sometimes people in small, especially very small business, feel that way where they do that, well, I don't want to brag. You're sharing your story. You're telling people who you are as a business. And that's important because people want to know because they have a choice of where to spend their dollars. And a
Yes.
lot of people, like myself, I will spend my money with a business that is also supporting the community and doing good things, right? That's where I
Yes.
want to spend my
I'll
dollars.
spend more money.
So tell me your story so I can choose where I want to spend my dollars. So I don't see it as bragging. I see it as you telling me exactly who you are and what you care about.
And that is so important that I think I've had people comment that were from my past I've known years ago. Oh, somebody really thinks they're full of themselves lately. Different things I put up. I'm like, no, but it's my obligation to pass these lessons on or to tell people the things that we do because like you said, there are businesses that I will wait in line longer. I will spend more money. I will tip bigger
Sure.
because
of who they are.
of who they are. And I know what
they're
they
doing.
do. And I know they're another small business like myself.
Exactly.
During COVID, when I met you, is when we had that call with, it was Justin Chesser, it was you, it was a bunch of us Swaffords
Right.
around there. I know I'm missing
Yeah.
probably a few, but we got on, we talked. What can we do to help? And we
Yes.
discussed that the only thing we could do to help is to support each other.
Right.
And we all made a run on it. We
Oh
all
my
gained
gosh.
weight eating at all the restaurants. I bought 14 pizzas
I
one
know.
day because I got a text message from somebody going, hey, this guy didn't sell a pizza that day. What can we do? And I was like, I'm on my way right now.
My office, we paid for a website. We're all small businesses.
yes.
For several months, I think for 6 months, we paid for a website where small businesses could put their information on there. And if it was restaurants, how you could order online or how pick up, whatever it was. Because until everybody found them, because everybody was looking for local, So,
Yes.
but we got
But
together.
our community supported local and did that. And that was something I
yes.
told a lot of people. I was like, our community,
But we all banded together.
yes.
And I will tell you, so myself, the Detroit Chamber of Commerce, the Ellsbury Community Growth Association, our cities, small business, we all banded together when this first hit. And we sat around a table together and said,
Yes, we
how
did.
can we do this? How can we help each other? And I'm going to tell you, I received some calls from some of our federal legislators who were paying a lot of attention to all the things going on, who was surviving. And we were very unique as a community
Yes.
and the fact that we partner and everybody was doing their own thing. And we were one of the few places that everybody got together, sat around the table and said, let's solve this problem together and let's do this together. And not one person's going to take credit. This is going to be a community effort. And evidently we were very unique in that approach. But I think that's why we we did not lose one single business during COVID in Lincoln County.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with it is I watch a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of people talk, and they talk about areas of the U.S. they were in. It was devastated and boarded up and all this. And I don't remember it like that. I just remember a bunch of goofy rules that we couldn't go do this or that. But everybody survived. And if somebody wasn't having a good day, well, then maybe a group message went out to those of us that were having a good day, and then they had a good day.
Yes, exactly.
And that was very, very important. And so that's why when people talk about COVID or different things, I react to it a little differently because of our area and what we did. And I seen it happening in front of my eyes. But then you'll hear stories of other places, even in just St. Louis.
Yeah.
That as close as St. Louis with businesses and everything that happened, we didn't have that.
No.
We supported it. Everybody got through it. So I want to end on that. Say this was awesome. This is part 1. For anybody wondering, I definitely want to have you back on to talk more.
I can talk about economic development all day long.
You do. You do. I see you do it. So
I have no problems talking about, because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things in my office in the future. 2024, we're going to see some very exciting things. Can't wait to announce that are happening in my office. I have a lot of growth plans and stuff for these services that we're going to offer through my office, small business support, all kinds of different things. So can't wait to talk about that in 2024.
And we're going to do something for young entrepreneurs. Yes,
we are.
Really,
that's a passion of both of ours.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And teaching these kids and talking to them. I talk to my students all the time about what they're going to do, and they'll throw out things. I'm like, are you sure that's for you? And through networking, I've been able to open a lot of doors for them through people I know. That's just been awesome. And I think if me and you, Joey, different businesses teamed up, we could really give an avenue of support for people and giving them real world information on starting a business. I find so many people start something and then they're like hit with a pack of bricks. Whoa, this is not what I thought.
But it needs to come from you guys. It needs to come from business owners, right, who've been there. I mean, I can talk about it all day long, but I've never done it.
Well, it doesn't matter the size of the business either. No, I talk to business all the time, like, well, it's really cool you do that. You can do it too. It doesn't matter. The kid at the table at the night or at New Horizons when I talk to him does not care about what I'm doing. Now, when I tell them that my businesses do $1.4 million a year, then their ears perk up, and I break it to them that I don't have a Lamborghini, and so then their ears perk right back down. But they see that I'm not making up fake numbers, but it doesn't matter if you're making $30,000 a year or $30 million. They want to hear you talk about it, and it's that passion. Dr. Penny and I spoke with a young lady at New Horizons, and she wanted to do this or that. The more we spoke, I was like, hey, why do you have earbuds in? Because I was like, I'm not trying to be rude. She's like, oh, shoot, I'm really sorry. The more we talked about her confidence and about things that she could do, and I got her talking about her passions, she went from kind of, I like this. Okay, what's up? To by the end of it, I mean, she had fixed her shirt. She was sitting up straight. She was attentive. Her eyes were locked in.
She was leaned in.
But it was amazing at how just having that conversation with someone outside of a teacher or peer brought that confidence level there. And that is what all of us in the community continue to do and help those generations. New Horizons is amazing for that. I've been so blown away by what Dr. White and them do over there.
You know where my heart is.
Yes, it's amazing.
I mean, it's amazing.
Dr. Penny invited me to their graduation, so I've got to put that on the calendar. I want to go to that.
If you've never been.
He told me I can't miss it.
I'm sorry. I'm not a big warm fuzzy, but bring tissues.
That's what he told me too.
I don't cry easily.
I'm not bringing Casey. She'll make fun of me. She gets a giggle when I cry.
Yeah, people make fun of me when I cry too because I do it so seldom. But and they cheer each other on. The other student, everybody, but this is a whole different level because so many of these kiddos have so many challenges they face to get there, and they've made the commitment to fight to do better.
Yes.
Right? To do better, for tomorrow to be better for them than yesterday was. And if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what does. So I encourage all my cool businesses to get involved with New Horizons. Like I said, I just talked to James at TriTech,
awesome.
And when I told him about what it is, he got all inspired. And
he was pumped when we talked.
He was pumped. Oh, I'm so glad you guys spoke.
They need people like that because I know the stuff I've submitted. I bought them a bunch of stuff, and I mean they need more businesses that care,
that have that passion, energy,
that can help them out and really make a difference for these kids. So, well, thank you guys for tuning in today. We appreciate it. It's another killer podcast. This will be part 1. We'll have Julie on again soon. So, like, share, and subscribe so we can keep making this, and comment on who you want to see on. Let's hear who you guys want to hear us talk to, and thank you.
This is the Lincoln County Podcast.